Hello, tile friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Tile Money Podcast. My name is Luke Miller, your host, and this is the podcast that is strengthening the tile industry one tile contractor at a time. We are doing that with our business discussions and education designed for contractors by contractors. This education is assisting tile contractors to build sustainable, profitable businesses. The result is a stronger industry from the installer up. Today, we have another great interview lined up for you. We have Joe Fowler, and Joe is a contractor from Arlington, Texas. That is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Joe is specializing in tile remodels over there. But as his business name suggests, he can do more than just tile, and he offers his clients other services as well. I met Joe at Coverings in Orlando just a couple months ago this year in 21, and we had some really good time, some good conversations. Joe is an owner-operator who does not employ anyone else to assist him with his work. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him today because I know a large part of my audience is set up in a similar manner with no employees or maybe one employee. But before we get to the interview and bring Joe on, I want to thank the sponsors of the show. The NTCA is one of our sponsors, and the National Tile Contractors Association can be one of your most valuable resources as a tile contractor. It is the oldest and largest association for tile contractors out there. They have answers to pretty much any question you have, whether you're looking for solutions to complicated problems in the field, or maybe you're looking for an introduction to an expert in a specific field of tile, pools or glass tile, paper face, whatever the case might be. The NTCA has your back. They can connect you with an ambassador locally to you, perhaps, who can help you out. I've met some of the most professional and profitable tile contractors from within the NTCA. So check out what the National Tile Contractors Association can do for you and your business. Another sponsor of ours, Laticrete International, is one of the leading innovators in the tile installation materials world. They're literally credited with inventing thinset and winning the World Trade Center contracts for providing the lightweight solution to build the world's tallest buildings at the time. Laticrete is a family-run, privately held company with family values that you can feel when you are talking with your reps, all the way up to the family members who are still working in the business today. Laticrete provides everything you need to install tile, from the waterproofing to the grout and silicone. It's a one-stop shop, one-stop brand. GoBoard is our third sponsor from the manufacturers. GoBoard is an innovative tile backer board manufactured by Johns Manville. You can discover the possibilities with this easy-to-cut, easy-to-handle, lightweight product. It's durable. It's very durable. You can carry a bunch of boards with that lightweight ability all up in one trip. You can seal the joints and fastener penetrations using GoBoard Pro Sealant to achieve ANSI A118.1 compliant installations. GoBoard Pro Sealant is now available in 20-ounce sausage packs. Learn more at jm.com/GoBoard. Our last sponsor is HappyTileGuy.com. I am a co-owner of HappyTileGuy.com along with Grant Canchos. And that is where you will find professional websites built and optimized specifically with you, the tile contractor, in mind. All right, let's bring Joe onto the podcast. Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's up, Luke?
Not much. How are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
Well, I want to thank living the dream. All right, you're off on a Monday doing podcasting. That is the dream.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. I enjoyed getting to know you at Coverings, and I'm sure we're going to talk. That was a lot of fun, huh?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Can't wait for next year in Vegas.
Now, was that your first Coverings? We will get into this a little further.
That was my first Coverings.
That's what I thought. That's what I remembered. Yeah. So, well, listen, why don't you give the listeners, the audience, a 30,000-foot overview of your introduction to tile and kind of where you are today, all the way up to where you are today.
Okay. Started doing this back in 93. Basically, when I started dating my ex-wife, her brother-in-law at the time was a tile guy.
Oh, okay.
He said, hey, you want a job? I said, sure. So, I started out as a helper, making $5 an hour. Quickly worked my way up to, 10, 12, eventually $20 an hour. by the time we parted ways, I was getting 50% of everything he billed. He would just basically show up on the job, say, unload my truck, I got to go. He'd meet with the builders and stuff, but it was just me and maybe one or two helpers that actually did the work.
And how long did that?
08, 09,
how long did that
I worked for
relationship
him
last?
for 16 years. 16 years.
Okay.
I mean, I would probably still be working for him. It's a pretty good gig. Just doing the work and not having to deal with all the extra.
Yeah.
But
so what
08,
happened?
09, the economy took a dump, in 08, 09. The housing market dried up. The work was no longer hand delivered on a silver platter to him.
Right.
And what was my side work became my only work. So, I've been solo ever since.
So he was doing what a lot of people are doing right now, which is capitalizing on an influx of work, right? Because during, like you're saying, basically the early 2000s, all the way up until like 07, work was very easy. It was just abundant, right? There's not enough contractors today, and it was similar back then. So your boss at the time was just kind of getting lucky because everybody was getting lucky if they hung a sign that said contractor on their door.
Yeah. He found somebody good that he could trust, and he knew the jobs were done right if I was on the job. So he was pursuing a career in security work. So now he actually does major security, goes on world tours for different bands, and when big wigs are in town, he's on their security.
Oh, okay. So he had two gigs. One was, the gig you were really running and producing the work. And that's why he was affording to give you 50% because he was on the side making his second gig, which is now sounds like maybe his full-time gig.
Yep. That's all he does now. Security, professional security work.
Cool. Well, good for him. I'm glad. I'm glad it worked out. And you learned a lot along the way, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, started as a helper. Eventually I was setting full time, and I had a couple helpers underneath me. And, my boss at the time, he might show up at noon and leave at 1. Mm-hmm. And before long, he just wouldn't show up at all unless he was dropping off tile. Right. So he had the big, dually truck, and he'd pull up with 2 pallets of tile and say, get it off. This goes here, that goes there, get it done. Yeah. Yeah. But, for him, it was great, because, I wish I could find somebody like myself back then that I could trust on the job.
That'd be nice.
Good help's hard to find.
Yeah.
But, that just evolved into me working. I always did side jobs for friends and family, and, evenings, weekends, whatever. And, my side gig became my only gig. So, Joe's Tile was born.
Yeah. So it was right around the crash when you kind of said, that his work dried up, and then it became apparent that, you're providing for yourself. Tell us about that transition. Was it tough? I mean, was that frustrating?
It wasn't too bad because my wife at the time, she worked. She was a high school counselor, and we had a young child. I think she was 1 year old, 2 years old, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, I still had bills to pay, so I still had to work. And when the economy kind of took a dump, nobody was building houses. Everybody was renovating their houses because, the market was so bad they couldn't sell. So they might as well put some of that money into their house. So I still stay busy. There's very rarely am I just sitting at home wondering what's next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's good.
Just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So as you were transitioning into your own business, what business lessons did you learn from your prior boss? And these could be good things that you imitated, or they could be, and we don't need to throw them under the bus, but how did you start to craft and think about, hey, this is what I want Joe's Tile and More to look like and feel like for my clients? Right. Was there a lot of that?
The biggest thing is just, I didn't know what to charge, because I was basically just a worker bee. he handled all the billing and all that stuff. So even the little bit I did know, I was kind of doing remodels for builder prices,
Yeah.
And sure, you stay busy when you're charging cheap rates.
Yeah.
So, eventually I learned to charge more. Eventually I found, the John Bridge forums and found the Facebook groups and all that, and kind of realized some of the things we were doing weren't quite right.
Yeah.
When it comes to like waterproofing showers and stuff like that. But, I don't know business wise that he taught me anything. He just, at the end of the week, I got a check, and he didn't really teach me anything about the business. So I've learned a lot listening to your podcast and, the Facebook groups and all that good stuff.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear it. And now you kind of mentioned earlier, like, I wish I could find somebody like me to, that's always the thing that entrepreneurs say, right? Well, I wish I had a clone,
Right.
or whatever,
Yeah.
Is that kind of your attitude now? Are you looking for employees?
I'm not actively looking. I've had a couple guys over the years, they work for a couple weeks and then they disappear and they have all the excuses about their grandma died and, all this stuff. So it's hard to find somebody. And then once they learn anything, they learn how to make a couple cuts and, thin set and grout, they think they can do it on their own. So they disappear and they start doing floors. And, I had this one kid, he called me. He's like, "Hey, can you come help me do a shower? I don't know how to do showers." I'm like, "Nope."
Right. Oh, because he worked for you. And then he was like, come.
Yeah. He worked for
bail
me.
me out.
He wanted me to come do a shower pan and get it all ready for him so he could just tile it.
Wow.
I'm like, sorry. You really need to, in this industry, learn the proper methods before you go out on your own and just try to wing it.
It is, it is a problem in our industry. We have a lot of runaway helpers, and, we have a lot of discussions on, things we can do to help that and, or fix that. Right. And, I myself probably I identify as a runaway helper. I mean, I started the trade at 17. My boss, he worked in the field every day, but he had multiple jobs going. So by the time I was like that, I would say 19. So 2 years. I mean, not anywhere close to being, an installer really, but he was sending me out on small, 200-foot flooring jobs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe it'd be 400 or 500, but it'd be a kitchen, an entry, and 2 bathrooms, and maybe something else. So there was, they were like the biggest room would have been 250. So it's, and the way it was is square 12 by 12 tiles with 1/4-inch joints. It's kind, I mean, so it's a little bit more, I wasn't doing shower work or anything really intricate on my own at that point. But he was like your boss. Hey, just send him out, see what happens. Hopefully we all get paid, right? And so what that did in my mind is say, hey, I'm already doing this on my own. I can run away, and there was education for what we were doing his way, but there was no bigger introduction to the industry. And I think that's where some people, there's always going to be these kids, right? And as people, we make mistakes and we leave the nest early, so to speak. But I think, that's something that I've noticed like J&R does. They really try to educate them as much as possible and kind of almost, for lack of a better term here, scare them into not leaving too early. Maybe showing them some of the failures and showing them, some of the overhead that a company has and showing them, revealing a little bit behind the curtain. I'm just throwing this up, out there because it got my wheels turning, because this is such an interesting predicament that we have in the trades, probably across the trades in general. But especially for low entry level, I mean, tile, I'm sorry, and I'll let you talk. Tile, you can get started for like $300, $400, $500 and you're good to go. I mean, a high school kid can go out and invest. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I truly wish there was more regulation on becoming a tile contractor, licenses and certifications and whatnot, kind of like a plumber or an electrician, so that we could weed out some of the people that shouldn't be there. that are turning out bad work that, they go back and repossess with a sledgehammer. But, here in Texas, you don't have to have anything to be a contractor. You just have your truck and your tile saw, and you can say you're a tile contractor.
Is there a fee, like a business fee, or no?
There's absolutely nothing in Texas. It's the Wild West.
Wow. And they call that a right to work state?
Yep. Yeah. Basically anybody can, you can be a builder tomorrow. You can say Luke's Custom Homes and print up some signs and become a home builder.
Wow.
And people would buy your houses, even though you don't know how to build a house. It's the same with tile. You can be a tile contractor and print up some business cards and, do your thing.
So how do you go about distinguishing Joe's Tile and More and in a way that is your clients are going to have confidence in your work and choose you? Because I know another problem with Texas is there's a lot of, inexpensive or cheap work, really, very low prices, especially with things like flooring. Like I mentioned, when I was in Tucson, we were just knocking them out. So how do you position Joe's Tile and More to be different?
Yeah. Being a border state, we've got a lot of low cost labor crossing the border that will do it for next to nothing. I try to be professional. I always have my Joe's Tile shirts. My van is decaled out with Joe's Tile and More. I always try and show up looking clean. Just do honest work for a fair price. When I see the pricing on some of the Facebook groups, it's still really high compared to what I charge, but I'm getting there slowly but surely.
I wanted to highlight your van here. For those listening, you can check it out on YouTube. It's a really nice, attractive van, really nice logo, clean, easy to distinguish.
My only regret is I didn't get the taller van, the higher roof.
Yeah. So there's a tip for all you looking for. Which one is this? A Ford?
Yeah, it's Ford Transit.
So if you're looking for the higher van, because you're like my height. You're like 6'2" or 6'3", right?
Yeah, 6'2".
Yeah.
So it's pretty rough being bent over, climbing in and out of that. But that helps just look more professional. Like I said, the work shirts, showing up clean, answering calls, returning calls. So many people, they can't even get a contractor to return a phone call.
Wow.
So it's rough.
Yeah. So you just distinguish yourself, and it sounds so simple. It sounds so elementary, but it's funny because, I interviewed Mike. I can't remember. He's Mike. I forget his last name at the moment. He wrote the Markup and Profit for Contractors book.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's, and he's, like my grandfather's age. He's in his 70s at least, but so he's been working with contractors and has been a contractor for 50 years or whatever, a long time, right? And he said, the biggest takeaway, and this was almost 2 years ago. If you want to listen, it's probably the summer of 19 when we did some interviews together. And he said that, it's the simple things like you're saying, hey, be professional, return your phone calls, be polite, be clean. And these will distinguish you from 80-90% of the other bids out there, the other contractors out there. So that's what you're saying to me is it's fairly basic.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's pretty simple. Do good work, look professional, look the part, don't just show up in any random shirt. It doesn't cost much to have some shirts made up with your company logo. Look clean, presentable, treat their house the way you'd want your house treated, drop cloths, plastic, whatever, a fan in the window to suck out dust.
Sure.
It doesn't take much for, people to know you do good work and you care about what you're doing.
And you're somebody
So,
who gets most of your work from referrals, you mentioned earlier.
yeah, probably 90% of it is repeat and referral. I just got, I've been on Facebook forever with my Joe's Tile page, but just a couple of years ago is when I found the Facebook groups.
Mm.
And then just a year ago, I started a Instagram page.
Mm.
So everything I do, I post to Instagram, and it links to my Joe's Tile Facebook page.
What's your Instagram again?
Joe Tile Moore. Facebook came up with that link for my Facebook, just Joe Tile Moore. So I'd use the same thing for my Instagram too.
Nice. At Joe Tile Moore.
Yep. And
Nice.
I've got it on my van and stuff. But I'm just now starting to see some jobs come in through Instagram.
Nice.
People found me on Instagram. I had a job I just finished recently. The homeowner found me on Instagram, but they've also been a fan of the Tile Coach on YouTube. So they were watching the Tile Coach and, were being educated about proper methods and waterproofing and everything else. And they found me on Instagram and said, holy cow, this guy uses Flow FX drains. This guy uses GoBoard on his walls. He knows what he's doing. So, I mean, that turned into a pretty good job.
Yeah,
and that was strictly from Instagram. So, it helps, but I'd still say 90% of my business is repeat and referral.
Yeah.
I'll talk to people. They'll say, "Yeah, you did a bathroom for us 12 years ago, and we want to do the other bathroom." I'm like, "Okay." But if you do good work, they remember who you are.
Yeah.
If you were this, shady character that, dirty and grungy and trash their house, they're going to remember that too.
Yeah.
And they won't be calling you back.
Yeah. In fact, it's a lot harder to get them to remember you just by doing good work. I mean, that's, it is important. They will hopefully remember that. But if you do something, even just one thing wrong, especially when it comes to a personal thing like kicking their dog or, scratching their tub or, leaving a mess, leaving fingerprints on the wall or on their glass door on the way out. I mean, you could do the perfect job, but when it comes to some of those personalized, little things, they really, people take offense and they don't forget it. They don't forget the bad, which is a real bummer. But knowing that that's just human. I mean, we're the same way, Joe. You and I are the same way. We walk into a store, we might find something we like, we buy out. The person treats us rude. We remember the person treated us rude, not that we found the shirt or whatever we were shopping for. That's just human nature. So remembering that that's human nature and knowing that is why Joe takes all these steps to be extra, Do you mind if I share your Instagram here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Let's just take a quick look at this because I think this is a really powerful story. So it's just Joe Tile Moore. He's got just over 500 followers. He's got 158 posts and he's following 300 people, so not a whole lot in the bio, but it's just simple. It's clean, living the dream as a tile contractor in Arlington, Texas. He told people where he was. You know how many times I see professional contractor businesses and they don't tell people who they are right here.
Yeah. Right.
That's a no-brainer for me. Then he has a link to his Facebook page so people can see more and they might be able to see reviews. And then he has his reviews. Each one's, clean and looks good and highlights his work. But, he's getting work because somebody found Isaac Ostrom, the tile coach, on YouTube and has been watching the YouTube channels. Then they went and they saw the Flow FX drains and they saw the GoBoard on the walls and they said, hey, we're going to call Joe. And that's it. That's it, folks. It's as easy as that. And that's how this community of tile contractors is raising each other up and helping each other up. You don't have to have this huge platform. You don't have to have 10,000 followers. I don't even have 10,000 followers on Instagram. You can have 500. Right. You can have 10 and still be landing work. It's all about the way you present yourself.
Right.
Exactly. That's pretty cool. That's a cool story. And Instagram, Isaac Ostrom on YouTube, he's putting out a lot of content. I think he has close to 150,000 followers and consumers are finding him because of the work he's doing, the research he's put into being found and growing an Instagram channel. And I know that can be a controversial subject for some guys because of the kind of films, he produces, but he's teaching people how to ask questions is what he's doing. So if consumers are going to his channel and seeing products and he's asking questions, at least it gets their wheels turning. Then they do more research. Then they're more inclined to call a guy like Joe Fowler because he's using some products they recognize from where they're getting their education. So this is exactly how social media and tile contractors and we as a community are pushing the conversation forward and starting to get clients. Hey, let's talk about the products we're going to use under the tile, right? Because for so long, it's just been, we just want to talk about the tile. What's it going to look like? They don't think about or care to know what's underneath. Now, Isaac Ostrom, all of us, Joe Fowler, myself, Jason McDaniel, all these people who are putting out content, HUD's tiling on Instagram, they're getting consumers to think twice before picking up that phone call and jot some questions down for that contractor. I think this is brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it's like on my Instagram or my Facebook, I don't just show the pretty finished pictures. I show, maybe a tear out picture. Then I show a prep picture. Then I show, the mud bed picture. And then I'll show, halfway installed picture. And then I'll show the final picture. Yeah. It's not just about, oh, here's a pretty shower. Yeah. It shows the steps that went into it, and some of the products.
How much time do you spend on average educating your clients about the process?
When I'm face-to-face bidding, I tend to be pretty reserved and shy, but when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, I'm chatty Cathy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking with homeowners, and start telling them, how I do stuff and the products I use, I just go on and on and on, and they're like, okay, we get it. I heard somewhere that a bathroom shower sees more water in a year than your roof.
Right.
So I tell them that's why it has to be 100% waterproof before you put any tile on the wall.
Yeah.
So once they kind of hear that, their ears perk up and they say, oh, okay. Yeah. That other guy was just going to hang concrete board and tile it, Yeah. And I did that for many years because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s and early 2000s, we didn't have social media showing us what's wrong and Facebook groups and all that stuff. I always joke, we knew there was national standards, but we didn't think they really applied to us. I thought that was more of a commercial thing. If you were on a commercial job, it had to go by these standards. But, for us, you just lick it and stick it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, finding these Facebook groups has really changed my world as far as shower prep and, uncoupling and everything else, movement joints, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were able to, not just say, hey, I've been doing it this long. I was taught this way. But you're able to say, oh, wow. Some of this talk, even though it goes against the way I've been doing it, I'm going to slow down and read and learn. And
yeah. Oh, I drive my wife crazy researching stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's really part of the job as a contractor, is to research what we don't know. And when I started working around contractors that actually did this, I was shocked, because I started working around contractors who oftentimes would have to research sometimes a week, a day or several days, sometimes a full week before they ordered products for their clients.
Right.
And then it started to dawn on me, okay, this is the difference. This is what they're doing. They're putting a lot more time and intention into this job before they even start it, rather than just taking the job, running to the big box store, getting whatever the least expensive installation, thin set or whatever it might be. And then going and then just doing it, that's just like, oh, you just want it in for the cheapest, we can do that. The majority are doing that, but the difference is research, analyzing, and that all goes into your clients. Now you, as a single operator, I kind of wanted to talk about how you schedule work, because in fact, this week you're out of work, because of circumstances, But how do you schedule that work? How do you prevent, the downtime and remain in control of your schedule? Is that,
Yeah.
and
So I mean, I just keep a list of all the jobs coming up on my phone, in a little sticky note, Samsung Notes. But I don't start a job until the previous one's finished. And I will tell people when I bid the job, I may be 6 weeks, 8 weeks out. I'll let them know when I'm, 2 weeks out and lock in their day. So the reason I'm sitting at home this week, I finished the job last week and there was supposed to be the master bath and then a hall bath. Well, they decided to hold off on the hall bath until the master bath is totally done, glass and, vanity, all that good stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I thought I had another 2 weeks worth of work at this house. So I picked up my phone, looked at the next person in line and called them up, said, hey, I'm ready to start your job. I can be there Monday. They said, oh, well, we had somebody else do it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it kind of burned me. It's only happened to me like twice in 28 years that somebody actually messed up my schedule by, having somebody else do it.
That's not bad.
It's still kind of a kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I need to get on the ball with, doing contracts, doing deposits. Because, I mean, everything I've done for 28 years is basically handshake deals. You give them a bid, they say you want to do it, and I say, okay. And that works for a small one-man operation, because I don't have the huge overhead and, all that good stuff. Yeah. But it's still, I can see where it would be beneficial to have a contract and have a deposit so that they have some skin in the game, instead of just, and people say, well, what about materials and this and that? Most of my clients, they provide all the tile. And the only materials I'm doing is, thin set, grout, GoBoard, flow effects drain. It's not that big a deal.
Right.
Right. If it's a bigger job that's going to last 4 or 5 weeks, I'll get a check like the first day to kind of cover some of that, and then a weekly checks. But small jobs, a lot of them I don't get paid anything until I'm done.
Yeah.
If it's just a small shower redo, I don't see a penny until I'm done with the shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it works. Yes, I'm floating some money for their materials and whatnot, but I've never been burned.
Yeah. So do you think is that something you're going to maybe reassess after this last thing, or?
Yeah, I need to get in, look at some of the template contracts and kind of see what they look like. Kind of figure out where I want mine to look like, because I want it to be simple. If it's under a page, that's great. Just outlining, payment schedules, start dates, are flexible, whatever. And, here's your 10% deposit or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do some of that. Part of me doesn't like the idea of a deposit because, I don't want to get paid for something I haven't done yet. But if it locks them in on the schedule and keeps them from flaking on me, then it'll be worth it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. The further out you've only had it happen twice in 28 years. It's not bad. Is that what you said? 28 years? Yeah.
Yep.
But the further out you're booking, obviously the higher the chances are somebody's going to bail. And I'm sure you're like everybody booking out. How far out are you booking right now?
About the end of the year right now.
Yeah. So three and a half months.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right.
Yeah. It's been crazy this last year and a half since COVID.
Yeah.
I think everybody decided to renovate their houses at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of stuff going on with that for sure. You're spending more time in your house. You getting any people who started like a DIY project and then they need a professional?
No, most of them, by the time I tell them I'm booked out 2 months, they can't wait.
Oh, they can't wait. They just got to keep
90%. Wow. Yeah. 90% of my phone calls I get, I tell them up front, hey, I'm booked until February. I'm booked until whenever. They say, oh, well, we can't wait. So if we can't find anybody, we'll call you back.
Yeah. 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 And that
So
only gets
I don't
worse.
even get to see them.
That only gets worse as as the closer we
Yeah.
get to Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, people are like, they're having a party for Thanksgiving or Christmas and they need you here today and they're calling you today. And it's just like, oh man, I don't know what to tell you, but man, you really dropped the ball on that one.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard of people saying, yeah, I can do that, but it's going to be X number of dollars. They're going to pay a premium to get me there today. Because my schedule's flexible. I can move things around a little bit, but
well, how do you keep your schedule flexible? As a smaller contractor, I always got a lot of pressure from clients and pressure from myself also at not extending the start date. Like it's all estimates, right? Like, okay, we're going to we're 3 months out. Here's your estimate and here's our estimated start date. But in my mind, and I think most clients, are future clients' minds, that potential start date is in fact a fact. And it's a hard, are your start dates like real soft start dates, or how do you prepare?
No, they're always soft start dates. Just because I tell them up front that, I work for myself and by myself. So if one job takes 2 days longer, everything behind it gets pushed.
Yeah.
So it's like, I usually tell them, I'll give you a heads up about 2 weeks out when we're getting ready, when I have a firm start date.
Yeah.
And when I'm 2 weeks out, I can confirm, yes, I can start at this date. Yeah. But if I'm 2 months out, I'm just guessing, because I don't know how, these 3 jobs ahead of you are going to go. You like to think how long things are going to take, but you might spend an extra day waiting on the plumber or waiting on tile or. Yeah.
And do you work like one job at a time, or do you sometimes do 2 at a time?
One job at a time. I won't start anything until the one I'm on is done.
Yeah. That's smart.
And that's just the way I've got a buddy that is a kind of a remodel contractor / carpenter, and he will get 4 or 5 jobs going at once just to get, deposit money. And all his jobs take 6 weeks longer than they were supposed to, because he's running on fumes trying to please everybody, and he's not pleasing anybody.
Yeah.
So I would rather them be a little bit annoyed that I can't get there until, 3 weeks from now or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus really annoyed if I start their job and then disappear because I'm trying to do all these other jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. We see that a lot. It's a hard concept to get. Just stay on your job until it's done. But I see, and I've been, I've done it myself, to where you start 2 at once, or especially as you get employees and you're trying to keep everybody busy, and that like grout day is not going to keep everybody busy, or, so you kind of have, so then once you start to get employees, you really do have to start juggling typically a job and a half, or start one while you're finishing another one type of thing. So things do start overlapping, just because, you're looking out for your employees who want full 40-hour weeks. So it does get more complicated. But so if there's any single installers out there, or even an installer with an apprentice, a small crew, take one at a time, communicate clearly from the beginning. Hey, this is the way it's going to go down. And that way, you end up with happy clients like Joe has, and people who really enjoyed the experience, from the beginning to the end. Let's talk. Yeah, go ahead.
They don't have a problem leaving you a 5-star review because they loved you.
Yeah. Exactly. So tell us about, why you decided to go out to coverings this year, and then your experience there, and what's on your account.
Finding the Facebook groups 2 years ago just totally changed my world. I quickly, looked into the CTI program, looked into the NTCA, ordered a NTCA handbook, all that good stuff, TCNA handbook. So I had actually was set to go to the 2020 coverings because it was going to be in New Orleans. and I was so pumped about it, but then it got shut down because of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so then, you know, I was like, well, damn it, I'm going next year. You know, 'cause here I am, 28 years in the industry. I've never been to anything fun like that. I
Right.
didn't even
Right.
really know they existed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I said, you know, I'm going to go, and just made the best of it. Um, spent way too much time on my feet, just checking everything out, hanging out with people, making great friends,
Yeah.
great memories. You know, rubbing elbows with the big wigs of all these major companies, and it was awesome. You know, I
Yeah.
can't wait for the next one.
Nice. What's
So,
next on your calendar? Are you doing any more this year, like in 21, or are you just gonna
um,
wait till next year?
no, nothing else this year except for little random trainings. I went to a small NCCA training a couple weeks ago. Then did a little RDX training recently. Tried to get into a 2-day Schluter training that was this week, but they didn't have any spots left.
Oh, just show
Definitely
up.
going.
What day is it?
I think it's Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, people always cancel. There's always empty seats.
Yeah,
Tell If anybody gives you a hard time, just tell them the mustache sent you. Tell them Luke's.
right. Well, I mean, I was
No.
talking with Shannon, and she said, "No, it's totally full. I can't
Oh,
get you
is
in."
it? Oh, all right, all
So,
right. Well, you talk to the boss
yeah,
then. All right, never
yeah,
mind. Because everyone I've been in has empty seats, so a lot of people
right,
like people have stuff come up. That's all
yeah.
I'm saying. People have stuff
Hey,
come up.
maybe I'll do it. Just show up. So, no, I'm definitely planning coverings this next year in Vegas.
Yeah.
My wife wants to go. She wants to meet all these great people I keep talking about. She actually joined GTP so that she could watch Jason's videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does good ones.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
I'll just plug the Total Solutions Plus because I mean I know you've decided not to go, but
Yeah. I
anybody
keep hearing
listen.
about that.
Yeah, anybody who's listening, that's Sunday, October 24th through the 26th. So it's
Uh-huh.
a 3-day show, Sunday through Tuesday evening. It's in Jacksonville this year, October 24th through the 26th, Jacksonville, Florida. And that's the industry's business event. So
Okay.
there is a small trade, typical trade show where people are showing some new technology. It's much condensed. And I think it's
Right.
only for 2 or 3 hours one of the nights, and that's it. So this
Really.
is one for the business owner who wants to go and network with other business owners. And the beauty of it is you have some of the largest company owners in the United States, possibly the world, in the tile industry, all the way down to guys like you who are a one-man show, and they're just really investing. Greg Michaels, well, he lives in Jacksonville, but he goes to this show every single year, and he's like you. He's been a single owner operator for 30 plus years, from what I understand.
Right.
And so he's a big, he always goes to this one. And so it's really a cool show. Just to, I'm not trying to pressure you per se. Everybody
Right.
has their own schedule, but I wanted to bring it up because, like Joe is saying, these events can really, make a difference in a person's life. And, we hear from a lot of people that are like you, and myself included. We found social media first, then we found
Right.
TCNA and TCA and NTCA coverings, surfaces, TSP. Then we found industry standards, right? So it's
Yeah.
really, bringing it back
It's,
to that Isaac Ostrom conversation. It's all full circle. You got to have the
yeah.
social. And it's great when the social media works with the industry and the industry works with the social media to,
Yeah. I mean,
complete
shows
that.
like coverings and stuff just help kind of reignite your passion for the business, and just wanting to do the best I can,
Yeah.
for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well,
it's not about just looking pretty. It's got to be done right.
yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Joe, I really appreciate you taking the time
No
to
problem.
join me and share some insights into your business and your life. Is there anything else you would want to tell the listeners that we missed?
I think that's it.
All
I
right.
think we covered everything.
All right, Joe.
Cool.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your week. Get some stuff done. I hope you have some fun and get to spend time with your family in the middle of it all. And good luck on the next one that starts next week, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Back at it
All right.
next week.
All right, Joe. We'll take it easy. All right.
All right. Bye.
All right, tile friends. Well, I really appreciated getting to know Joe a little bit better and get some insights into his business. He's really got a good thing going on there. And like I say a lot, I like to highlight guys like Joe because a large percentage, probably 80% of the tile contractors out there are smaller shops, 1 or 2 man shops, like Joe Fowler is. And it can be a very successful business model, but you just want to keep certain things in mind. It is a unique, business. And then understand too, if you ever decide to pivot, how that would look like. And we talked about some of that during this interview. I really liked his experience on, one of his clients upcoming who found him through Isaac Ostrom on the Tile Coach YouTube channel, and how that all kind of, makes a circle. And, people are going to find the tile industry through social media. And that is what's happening both from our side, tile contractors, as well as consumers. So they find it through social media, and then the industry works with social media, and then they meet the industry. And that's the way it's working in 2021. So, all right, tile friends, like always, stay positive out there. I hope you have a great week. And as always, stay profitable, tile friends. We'll talk to you next week.